I'm Joe Marlowe. We're at Southwind's farm. The farm is located in the San Pedro Valley. We're a little bit higher than Tucson, so it gives a little bit different growing season. The reason I'm doing this is because I always wanted to farm and to work outside. I've done all kinds of things. My background is primarily earth science and economics. I'm also trained as a resource economist. I was working at the Sonoran Institute as a resource economist for all over the western U.S., looking at land use issues and conservation economics. Well, when I started working in a professional capacity, it was outside, 100% field work. And then when I transitioned into economics, I taught for a while in Tohono O'odham Nation, and then I worked inside at the Sonoran Institute for I think I worked at Sonoran Institute for 7 years. And I decided I wanted to be outside more. That was part of it. A couple years ago, I transitioned to doing this full time. I'm a melanoma survivor. So in 2011, I had melanoma for a year. There's nothing like staring mortality in the mirror for a year to reorganize your priorities. And I basically decided I was going to do what I wanted to do. Currently, what we're harvesting is greens, and I grow greens year-round. I just adjust the mix of greens to the weather. I think what's special about the spring mix is that we have it year-round. That's one of the things. We cut it right before we go to the market. Tomorrow we're going to be at the market. We're cutting it today, so it's fresh. Everybody says they really like it, and so that's why we get the lines at the market. I like the market. When I first started, I sort of hated doing the farmer's market. All I wanted to do was to grow the vegetables. But then, of course, you have to sell the vegetables. And the farmer's market's really one of the best places to do that. Another thing that comes out of the farmer's market for us, for me, but also for the people that work here, is it's really a validation of all this work. Doing all this is really hard, long, exhausting days. And in the summertime it's hot, in the wintertime it's cold, you're working outside. But the markets really provide the validation for that. Techniques we use are organic, and we hew to the organic standards as tightly as we can. So all of our inputs to the growing is OMRI certified. You know, as I mentioned, a cancer survivor, so I care very much about what goes into my body, and I eat this food, so I'm trying to make it as clean and as healthy and as wholesome as possible. Very passionate about more than one thing. One of the things is just growing. There's nothing to me more exciting than to see, you know, the fruit, literally, of my labors, a new something that I'm growing. Yeah, the high tonal basically allows us to extend seasons, both the summer seasons and the winter seasons, and also to protect the plants. I mean, we'll have higher productivity out of our summer crops because they'll be shaded. And in the winter, it was the ability to have greens. We had greens, we cut greens all winter off of 2 beds in the high tonal. 30 feet wide, 150 feet long, and it must be about 15 or 16 feet high at the top. There's a few things we do for conservation. I mean, for soil conservation, we work a lot of compost into the soil. Both compost we purchase and compost we make on site. I'm still working down through a mountain of goat manure that I got from Fiore di Capra. They're just north of us by about 6 or 8 miles. But I generally follow sort of standard organic rules for following certain crops with other crops. And we try to work the soil as much as possible. I mean, the soil, when we first got here, was just plain desert soil. This was a creosote that was here, and we cleared that and put in a bunch of cow manure and started working it. Working with Linda at Vermilion Wormery, and she's consulted to me a bunch about how to get worms in the bed. For water conservation, 95% of our water is delivered to the plants with grip tape, which conserves water. Very well delivers it right to where it needs. The plants need it, and just sort of meters it out. A little bit of sprinklers in the summertime, but mainly that's to lower the temperature in the field when it's 105 degrees out here. In energy, this farm is off-grid, so we're powered by solar energy. Not 100%, but almost. We run a generator a little bit every day to top off our batteries. One nice thing about Tucson with respect to seasonality is that we have a huge range of biogeographic zones. There's a long season if you count the season across all the farms. You know, the stuff is better when you get it in season. It's fresher, hasn't traveled, it doesn't have the carbon in it, and so there's just a ton of benefits to that. The food's just better, a higher nutrient value in the food. It's an education component, and this is a really important part of our mission. One of that is educating the customers as to what good food is and what goes into the growing of it, and letting them know how much work it is, basically. Helping to grow the next generation of farmers. One of the criteria I have for the people that I hire is I want to hire people that want to become farmers. We need more farmers, we need more diversity in farmers in general if we're going to be able to deal with, you know, what's coming down the pike with respect to changes in our climate. So we're going to need to have more resilience. The plants need to be more resilient, but also the farmers need to be resilient. So yeah, I'm really passionate about teaching people what I know. And it goes both ways, because every intern that I've had out here, every woofer that I've had, every HelpX person that's come to work here, I've learned from them. And so that's kind of a two-way street. But yeah, that's a really critical function we have out here, is to get that next generation of farmers going.